Hi everyone. Welcome to Introduction to Sociology, SOCI 1010, Section W01, Summer 2017. I'm your instructor, Gary Heidinger. I'm most appreciative that you have enrolled in the course. I hope it proves to be a rewarding and exciting learning experience. To ensure that it is, it's important that you get a copy of the syllabus and read it literally cover to cover. The syllabus is really in many ways a key to doing well in any course of study. You can think of it on the one hand as a sort of contract between yourself and me. Secondly, it contains just about everything you need to be successful in the course. In particular, I encourage you to focus on some information that you will find at the top of the fourth page of the syllabus. Noted here, one of the keys for doing well in this particular course. There's been considerable research with respect to kind of non-traditional educational delivery systems like web-based classes. And researchers have discovered that those folks who do the best in non-traditional delivery type educational experiences, such again as this class, a web class, generally again are marked by these 5 points. I hope you'll burn them into your memory banks. If you're going to do well in this class, bear in mind that you are the person that's going to have to supply the organization, the focus, the commitment, the time, and the energy. You've got to be goal-oriented. Furthermore, it's important that you understand the significance of reading. The textbook that we're using is noted in the syllabus. This is its cover. It's by James Henslin. Henslin has a really nice writing style. I hope that you will find the text informative, and likewise, I think you're going to find it quite easy to read. But you need to read actively. Now, what I mean by that is read for retention. Don't do what I did as an undergraduate. Just kind of run your eyes over the page and assume that you understand. The problem I always had when I did that at the conclusion of a chapter, for example, I was clueless as to what I had read. It had kind of, to use a modified form of an old notion, kind of went in one eye and out the other. So as you read, make notes, underline, highlight. And really, when you start reading a chapter in the textbook, start with the summary. It'll give you insights into what you can expect in the chapter. And when you read a section, stop and ask yourself, what did I just read? If you're having difficulty comprehending what you read, you're not reading actively. Furthermore, get started now. I know that all of you have very active lives, and I don't expect any of you to live and breathe this course for the entire summer. So the quicker you can get started, the better off you're going to be. Once again, don't make the mistakes I did as an undergraduate and procrastinate. Now, I've still got a week, I've still got a few days, and then I was down to hours. The quicker you get started, the better off you're going to be. Furthermore, make sure, again, that you set aside specific times devoted to the study of the content of this course. That's another key. Get started now, not next week, not 2 weeks down the road. Remember, this is just an 8-week semester. Time's going to fly by very, very quickly. So the quicker you get started, the better off you're going to be. And because you have active and full lives, set aside some time. This is for me to commit to my online class. Furthermore, let me know. Notice that last point. If there's anything that you have questions about with respect to anything about the course itself, sometimes students will wait until almost the end of the semester to let me know, hey, I've got a problem, I just don't get this. that's really too late. Again, there's a discussion board that you can access. Nobody has to, again, use that discussion board. But again, you may want to ask a question, get response from some of your fellow students. Contact me. You can phone me. I've given you several ways on the syllabus by which you can contact me online, either through Momentum D2L or through my RadarNet address. But please, don't go into any test with something still not quite clear. And you might think that, well, I'm 99% sure, but that 0.1% is enough to shoot you in the foot. So always ask. You're not going to bother me. That's part of my responsibility as an instructor, to be there available for you. I'll remind you again that in this course, you're going to have to supply a lot of the orientation, a lot of the commitment, a lot of the focus. You've got to set aside time. You've got to manage your time effectively. And again, because you have full and involved lives, that means organizing. That means committing to the class right off. Now, you will need, again, a textbook. The quicker you get the textbook, I showed you the cover again. You want the most recent edition of the book, and this is it. It is the 12th edition. Now, everything else is accessible on Momentum D2L. Now, I suspect again that what will interest you to a great extent will be, what exactly do I have to do in order to successfully negotiate and complete this course? Well, again, in your syllabus on page 4, there's basic information about what you will need. The course consists of the text, video lessons. There are 3 study guides accessible on Momentum D2L and 3 review guides also accessible on Momentum D2L. Along with, and once you get into the syllabus, you'll note this, the first 2 examinations will consist of each one 2 discussion questions and about 25 to 26 multiple choice questions. Now, I've got this kind of weird, I suppose you can refer to it in that way, structure in terms of my classes, in that exams are 40 points each. So there's a total of 3 exams, 120 points. Now, in addition to the 3 exams, and by the way, that last exam, you'll note this if you read the syllabus very carefully, I'll call it a final. It will not be comprehensive. Rather, it will cover information that we focus on following test number 2. So the last exam is not going to cover everything that we've gone over during the entire semester. Keep that in mind, if you will. But that last exam, the 3rd exam, is going to be strictly multiple choice questions, 40 of them. Now, on each exam, there will be 3 extra credit multiple choice questions worth 1 point each. The key to really understanding what's going to be involved when it comes to exams, etc., is to, again, read the syllabus. Now, over on the 5th page of the study guide, there, again, is the title of the textbook. There's information about grading and evaluation. And down at the bottom of the page, there's some information specifically having to do with the 1st and 2nd exam. As I mentioned before, keep in mind on those first 2 exams, there'll be 2 discussion questions and then about 25, 26 multiple choice questions. Now, these discussion questions are kind of mini essay type questions. And again, one of the things you'll have access to on Momentum D2L is I will give you, again, discussion question options, what you can expect. You can study that information. Now, everything I've mentioned about the exams is also noted over on the 6th page. Now, keep in mind, too, that on the 6th page, you'll see noted here what's going to be included on each one of the exams. Furthermore, again, I have noted, and again, I'm on the 6th page, sort of an exam schedule. Notice that the first exam will have to be completed by Saturday, June the 24th. The second exam must be completed by July 15th. Okay, now if you'll notice too, that second exam has to be taken sometime between June 26th and July the 15th. The third exam is to be taken between July 17th and July 28th. Okay, and it's also very important that you keep in mind that you will need to take these testing centers at one of the 4 testing centers. I should say, I got confused a moment ago. You'll have to take your 3 exams at one of the 4 testing centers that are noted. The Oak Ridge Branch campus, Roane County campus, Campbell County campus, or Cumberland County campus. Now I realize, and I mentioned this in the syllabus, that some of you might expect, well, I thought we were going to have all exams online. Isn't that the way web classes operate? Keep in mind that I'm not the only Roane State instructor that requires his or her web students to take their exams at the testing center. As a matter of fact, this is widespread all over the United States. So I realize that's going to be an inconvenience, but it's only for 3 times. And again, there are 4 testing centers. But note in the syllabus, the hours of the testing center will vary. So you can go online at the Roane State webpage and get an entire listing of the hours and the days of operation of the testing centers. Now, if you've got questions related to anything associated with the exams, as I said before, please let me know. Now, in addition to the 3 exams, there is a project. I refer to it as an action learning project. I'm over on the 7th page of the syllabus, and I've given you quite a lot of information about what's going to be involved in that particular project. Actually, it's an opportunity for you to select a film that interests you and utilize it as a way of better appreciating and understanding sociological concepts and notions. Once you've read through this, and it continues on over to the 8th page, I give you a listing of films that you can employ or use. By the way, if you come across one that isn't on the list, run it by me. 99.9% of the time, I'm going to give you an okay to use it. But notice, this project is due on the 24th of July, a Monday. Now, you can do a second project and get up to 8 points of graded extra credit. Now, I hope you understand what I'm saying there. You're not going to get 8 points by just completing a second project. I'll grade it, but you can get up to 8 points. Now, along with the extra credit questions on each of the exams, that's a chunk of change. That can really assist you. So you may want to consider doing a second project. Now, it's very important that you follow what I have noted in terms of explaining the project. I'm interested in what you think. Don't go out and read a bunch of reviews on a film. I want to know what you think. Don't plagiarize. Don't plagiarize. Specifically, again, I want your take. What do you think? How has the film that you selected help you to better understand some of the key concepts, notions, principles, and models that the course is all about? Above all, what I hope that you will do is let me know if you have problems or concerns. You'll notice again that once you get into the syllabus, the course consists of units. I'm down at the bottom of the 9th page. All right, Unit 1 more or less introduces you to sociology. Unit 2 deals with culture. Those 2 units will form the basis for the first exam. Everybody clear on that point? Okay, so you'll need to read, and again, once you get in this, you'll note that I assign certain chapters for you to read. Start with that. Read the assigned chapter. With respect to the first exam, the focus is going to be on Units 1 and Units 2. Okay. For Unit 1, you'll need to read Chapter 1. For Unit 2, you'll need to read Chapter 2. Read those chapters first, then watch the video lessons. Highlight anything you have concerns or questions about. If you're unable to deal with those, they still kind of bother you, let me know. I want to assist you in any way that I can. In many ways, quite frankly, this ought to be the easiest course that you'll ever take. The big problem is you're going to have to think a little bit differently. You're going to have to embrace, and I bring this out in literally the first unit, okay? You're going to have to embrace what's called the sociological perspective. It's referred to in your text, coming from a guy by the name of C. Wright Mills, as a sociological imagination. You've got to stop taking the world around you for granted. And that's what trips up some students, because most of us tend to do that. It's easy. We don't have to think. We don't have to expend the time and energy. Be willing to look at the way of life you've long taken for granted as if you're seeing it for the very first time. Recognize that, again, you can't explain everything in terms of just focusing on characteristics associated with the individuals involved. That's how we're kind of trained. That's the way our way of life encourages us to think about the world around us. Americans are very much into, generally speaking, individualism. So if somebody's unemployed, we tend to focus first on character deficiencies, whether they're not committed, they're lazy. That may be in part true. But on the other hand, some people are unemployed by larger social factors over which they have no control. The boom and bust cycles of the economy, the fact that their job has been replaced by a machine, or the company they're working for has moved the operations to another country, outsourced, because labor costs are much, much lower and environmental restrictions are less demanding. So be willing to look at larger social factors. Who you are has been shaped to a great extent by those with whom you interact. Yes, you are a unique individual, but you're also a social creature. Those are the key elements for this course. And again, please let me know if you have any questions. Pay particular attention to that first unit. Get involved in viewing things from a sociological point of view or perspective. Again, I welcome you aboard. I hope this proves to be a really, really true learning experience for you. I hope, quite frankly, 25 years from now, you'll have more to say about this course than trying to remember the grade that you received. And I can tell you something that I tell all of my face-to-face classes. Once graduating from college, once you get your undergraduate degree, you may never again complete a complex mathematical equation. You may never again debate the contents of a poem, let's say written by Emily Dickinson, or focus on major developments that led to some major historical event like a world war. But I can tell you something you will be doing the rest of your life, and that's interacting with people. And that's what this course is all about. Welcome aboard. I encourage you to commit now to doing well in this class. And again, please let me know if I can assist you in any way. Thanks again for enrolling in the class.